Some major Star Wars news coming out of Deadline.com. The Acolyte Season 2 has been cancelled. This wasn't the video I was going to post today, and the topic we were going to talk about, but this is breaking news. And following yesterday's video where we spoke about the viewership for the final episode of the first season, this should come as no surprise. The metrics, the fan reception, the response, the reviews were pretty disastrous for Disney and Lucasfilm, so they've decided to not make a second season. And the fan response to this breaking news has been a mixture of disappointment from those who liked the show, to joy and jubilation for those who didn't. Personally, for me, it's like, whatever. I wasn't the biggest fan of the first season, which is why I've been focusing on other shows I'm looking forward to, like Andor, The Mandalorian and Grogu movie, Ahsoka Season 2, and yet, this morning, I woke up to dozens of comments, people tagging me on X, saying that somehow, and get this, it was my fault. Apparently me covering the show when it was out and covering the news surrounding it, and not liking the product, somehow I'm part of the reason The Acolyte got cancelled. Not only is this laughable and preposterous, and to be honest I'm not taking it with any kind of seriousness, even though I didn't like the show, if you go back and watch any of my breakdowns, I tried to focus on those moments in the episodes that I did like. I never made it personal, I never went after any creatives or fans of the show, and I was always talking about things in universe. Making theory videos and speculation, even of the bits I didn't enjoy, and I was always saying to fans who liked it, love it with all your heart. As a prequels fan, I remember what it was like to be made fun of for liking something which a lot of fans didn't. Same with Book of Boba Fett. I still defend episodes and moments in that show where fans look at me and say, no, you're wrong, that was awful. It was the low viewership that caused this cancellation. And it's one thing if people said, you're one voice in the YouTube sphere, so your criticisms in some minor way may have contributed, but let's be real, that's not what happened. I don't have the ear of Disney. And like I say, my dear friends, I think my criticisms were pretty level-headed. Even at the start of most of my breakdowns, I said, I'm going to outline what worked and what didn't for me, and that's just my opinion. I wasn't rallying to get the show cancelled in any kind of way. I covered the news, as I usually do, and I simply stated, with the viewership being what it is, I don't think this show is going to get a second season, but I did not go as hard as some might. Some people seem to think I did. This person said, I hope you're happy your negativity helped The Acolyte get cancelled. I followed you for years, but your negative and divisive content has made me cancel my sub. You used to be uplifting. What confuses me is I don't think this guy's ever watched my videos. Sure, there were some about The Acolyte which were not as positive as my others. Usually my videos are news updates talking about upcoming content, typically with tons of enthusiasm, even recently with D23 with The Mandalorian and Grogu Skeleton Crew. I had a couple of videos talking about Andor Season 2 which I'm so pumped for. And not to mention my theory videos, my speculation, my deleted scenes. I'm still always talking about Star Wars and always telling you guys, if I didn't like something, I'm just going to focus on talking about the stuff I do love, and that is what I do for the most part. Like even today, I had some really exciting updates for the Mandoverse, and we were going to talk about Ahsoka Season 2. I'll post that video later. And this isn't the only person who's telling me my content has become negative. If fans really expect me to be out there liking every single thing that comes out for the sake of it, not to have any criticisms and just consume the product and be like, yeah, it was great because it's got a Star Wars label on it, that's not why I started my channel, guys. That isn't why I'm here. It's a reaction to and a product of the fact I enjoyed Ahsoka and The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett more than some other channels might. But it doesn't mean I'm going to enjoy everything, and I'm not going to pretend and fake I like something I don't. I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan and I want the franchise to succeed. I'm so privileged and fortunate to be able to talk about Star Wars every day on this channel thanks to you. I'm always going to keep it $1.50, and I'm never going to apologize for how I feel about certain media. I want every kind of Star Wars fan to have a voice on my channel, to be part of this community. Whether you like The Acolyte or the sequel trilogy, the prequels, the originals, Star Wars Rebels, whatever, my channel has always been for everyone. But when it comes to this Acolyte news, no, sorry, it's not my fault. It's funny because traditionally I've had attacks from fans who don't like the recent content, and they say I'm a Disney shill or I'm a this or I'm a that. But now it's those who love this show and previous Disney content, some of which I even enjoyed, who've come at me and said, because I didn't like The Acolyte, that was a step too far. They're the ones who are going after fans who dare to have any kind of criticism of the show. I'm just one little Star Wars fan who got lucky enough to have a platform to voice my opinions, but I'm nowhere near the loudest of voices in this space. And it's not because I was, quote, negative about it that it got cancelled. The viewership was terrible, the reviews all over the place, and at D23 it was evident Lucasfilm isn't announcing anything new until production has begun, so having an indefinite second season up in the air for sometime in the future is not something Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy wanted. Here's what Deadline said. The story of the Acolyte will not continue, with Lucasfilm opting not to proceed with the second season of the Star Wars offshoot. The news is not entirely surprising. The Acolyte did okay with critics, but divided Star Wars fans. And that's another point, my dear friends. Star Wars fans are more apathetic and more divided than ever. It's a really sad situation of what we're seeing in the fandom, and anyone who's had any interactions on Star Wars social media would agree. Deadline go on to write, the Acolytes could not sustain the momentum from the first 2 episodes, dropping out of the top 10 after the 3rd episode. Many Star Wars fans who checked out the series when it first dropped seem to have stopped watching after the 2nd episode. In interviews, Leslye Headland has revealed she pitched her ideas for a 2nd season and hoped it was going to get renewed, but her hopes have been dashed. Despite the mystery thriller giving us Darth Plagueis and a hint of Yoda in episode 8, these ideas are going to be canned. And I guess if anything, this was the biggest shame, the fact we're not going to see more Darth Plagueis again in live action. There is a chance they put him in something else or we're going to get another spin-off at some point, but in the meantime, The Acolyte Season 2 has been cancelled. It's done. Kaput. We've got to consider on a corporate level, it was all to do with analytics, corporate interest, and metrics. Not to do with the reviews, not to do with the critics, not to do with the fans. It failed because the budget was too big and it didn't make a profit. That's it. As I said, my dear friends, a lot of fans celebrated the decision, while others very upset. This person says, fans ask for Kenobi Season 2, cancelled. Fans ask for Book of Boba Fett Season 2, cancelled. Fans ask for The Acolyte Season 2, cancelled. Meanwhile, Ahsoka is immediately greenlit for Season 2. Now look, I don't agree with this person, I get they're upset. Ahsoka deserves a 2nd season, even some of the other shows she mentioned. I know it didn't vibe with everyone, but that is a big part of what Dave and John are building. And even though Ray Stevenson is no longer with us, they're continuing the Baylan Skoll storyline, so there's a lot to look forward to. Another comment is this. What a timeline we're in. Legitimately awful. No room for projects to grow their audiences. Just instant dismissal for the people who worked on The Acolyte, Willow, and 100 other shows. All because of short-sighted business. Streaming is mostly a plague at this point. There's a point to be made about Willow, that never even got given a chance. But for The Acolyte, was it really growing an audience? Quite the opposite. The audience just shrugged and stopped watching. They almost didn't know who the audience was. Was it for old legacy fans? Clearly not. Did it bring a few people to the franchise? Sure. But this person is acting like Disney isn't a business, isn't a massive corporation, out to do one thing, make money. But what do you guys think? Should The Acolyte have been cancelled? What do you make of all this news? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and in the next video, we're going to be far more positive. Check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.